Hello, and welcome to episode number 42 of TMC, where we are here to help you take your relationship from surviving to thriving.
Today on TMC, we will be discussing how to fact check your relationship.
While you're tuning in today, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. Talking and we started talking about what people oftentimes skip over in relationships,
right?
And you used a term saying check the Carfax. And I was like, what do you mean? And so we began to talk about what Carfax does for a buyer. When you're buying a car, the Carfax tell you where that car has been, what that car has been through. It tells you more information about the car, because we know that you can be looking at a used car or a slightly used car, and it could appear
you don't know anything about it.
Exactly. It could appear to be like this is a good car. There's nothing wrong with this car. But the Carfax will tell you everything that you need to know about that car. And so we talked about how in relationships we can use this same thing, and that's when we started talking about fact checking your relationship.
Right, absolutely. And that's the thing. I mean, really thinking about it. I mean, you buy a car, and one of the things that happen when we purchase vehicles, we get the vehicle, you go to the car lot, and when you first go to the car lot, you have no attachment to it. You're not attached to this car at all. But the job of the salesman is to get you emotionally connected with this vehicle in some kind of way. And sometimes it's not good to get emotionally attached, especially when you don't have the facts behind the vehicle. So, I mean, this is very important because I realize we do this when we go to the car lot and we purchasing a lemon, and now we're stuck with this lemon, and eventually it costs us time, money, and it can get very expensive. And we tend to do this in our relationships. Things get complicated and they get very expensive. The whole thing what we're going to discuss on today, which I'm excited about this, is the triple H's. So the first H we're going to deal with on today is history. You must understand the history of your relationship.
Absolutely. You have to know, it's important for you to know the history of the person that you're in relationship with. When you're in a relationship with people, knowing their history helps you along the way, knowing their background, knowing their upbringing, their family, the type of family they come from, the household they were raised in, knowing any past wounds, hurts, knowing their values, what they value, knowing different things that they have experienced in life, knowing the type of baggage that they may be possibly carrying. That is very important because it helps you when you're moving forward in a relationship. It helps you know how to respond to the person. It helps you to understand why they respond oftentimes the way they do. And it also gives you a frame of reference to think about, because a lot of times what we don't do, like you said in checking the Carfax, when we get emotionally involved very early on, we skip over these things, or sometimes we see these things that we like to call red flags in relationships, things that we should be paying attention to, things that should be something that says, hey, there could be a problem here. And we skip over those things because we're so emotionally involved that we don't focus in or hone in on knowing the history.
Right. And history does several things. So the belief of where you've been from your history, you believe a certain way. You think a certain way. The next thing you said was baggage. So you got belief, baggage, and you got benefits. You know the benefits. I mean, that's benefits even in this history. I mean, certain benefits, for example, if one of us came up under a solid finance foundational background, I mean, that is a benefit to the relationship because one person have the finance background, the other person don't. If one person was raised by a single parent versus someone having dual parents, that is very important. And that could be, in fact, a benefit, but that's also some baggages on the opposite side of benefits that can really be detrimental to the relationship.
Absolutely, because you mentioned in a dual parent household, but knowing the history of that dual parent household.
Yeah.
Because if whether you grew up in a single parent household or a dual parent household, it's
Absolutely.
important to know that. But it's important to know what type of family that was.
Yeah.
Was this dual parent household a presentation of a healthy family, or was there dysfunction there? Was there dysfunction there? Because that dysfunction is an experience
Yeah.
that is going to shape how you are now.
Shape
You
how you
might,
believe.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Goes back to what you said, believe. Because you might have had mom and dad in the household, but if mom and dad didn't do anything but fuss, cuss, and fight, and they didn't know how to manage finances, and they didn't know how to get along, and they were always breaking up and getting back together, or they were always fussing and fighting every weekend, whatever it is going to be foundational for your relationship, because now it's a part of your belief system. You either believe that this is not how relationships are supposed to go, or you fall into the category of believing people fight. That's just the way it is.
Right. And that's the thing. So if your parents, if they fuss, cuss, and fight, it may be dysfunctional to one person, but the other person is totally normal. So now my dysfunctional lifestyle is normal.
Yeah.
But then you have someone with a different function and they come into this dysfunction.
Ooh.
Now they're normal and your abnormal can clash against each other and cause a huge problem in the relationship. So history is very, very important. Beliefs is very, very important. Baggage is very, very important. And also benefits is very, very important. You have to understand. I mean, even in our relationship, Sean and I, in our relationship, I'm a cliff jumper and she have the rope, you know. So when I get ready to jump off the cliff, you know, she have that rope to say, hey, whoa. Or before I jump off she stopped me and she asked, okay, do you have a parachute? She looked down. Okay, is that ground soft? Okay, is it rocks down there? I mean, it's all time to that's really beneficial to me, because a lot of time I can jump off a cliff and forget my parachute and I die.
Yeah.
You know, but because of the benefit of you being more reservant and stopping that from happening, now I get to live. Then on the other hand, what's benefit for you is you always asking questions and you would just sit on the cliff. You would just sit on the cliff and waiting on this perfect time, which would never come. So we balance each other by me being a jumper and you being a
checker.
Fact checker. It really helps in the relationship to know what benefits the person in the relationship.
And listen, let's talk about this to TMC.
Go for it.
The reason why this is important to us, and we know it's important because we discussed these things. We talked about our history and how we are different. We talked about our past experiences and how we became the way we are. How I am a person like, whoa, is that ground hard down there? Is there rocks down there? Do we have a parachute? Tie a rope to a rock so that we don't fall. And if we do fall, we have something to hang on. And you're like, let's just jump. We can make it. But us discussing our history, our background, our upbringing, our thought process, our experiences in life have led us to be the jumper and I don't know if I want to call it fact check because we both fact check, but the jumper and the reserver or something like that.
So whatever. We'll put it in the comments. I don't even know how to identify that. But this is the thing. But what's the awesome part about that is in the beginning, when you're doing the history and we did that fact check, which honestly for us,
in the beginning we
have to say that. In the beginning, we got it wrong. We did not know the information that we're sharing right now is things that we learned, from year number 1 to year number 23. We about to go into in August. You know, we learned this then, but we had a journey. And what we love, and the reason why TMC exists today is so people won't have experiences, the bumps in the road that we experienced along the way. There's somebody that 1, 2, 3 years, something that took us, I mean, what we're sharing today is something that took us maybe in year 10 and 11. I mean, we struggle. We struggle because here we are with two different people. And instead of complimenting each other, we kind of fought and tugged on each other, you know, in a sense. And, you know, to make things smooth and to keep that resistance out of your relationship, what we learn in 10 years, you can learn in your first year. And it can really take your marriage to the next level, you know, on the mistakes we made. So that's the reason why we're sharing this information to you on today, because we didn't have this information. We wish we would have had it. Matter of fact, we would have had this information. We would be further along in 23 years than we are right now. and also
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the thing. Because of our experiences, we learn the importance of history.
absolutely.
We learn even the three things that you use to break down history, the beliefs, the baggage, and the benefits.
Yeah.
We learn that all of those things work together. And then then the thing about it is once you know the history and you are aware of the background, the experiences, and all that, you know the person's belief, you know their baggage. Now you can reap the benefits of it because now you know how to use that to your advantage because your past experiences now become something that we use for our advantage in our relationship. Your past values and the upbringing of you and what you were taught in your upbringing as a young man and as a child, the values that your family instilled in you and the things that you learned and experienced along the way, they are now beneficial to our relationship because we know that yours play a part and mine's play a part and they gel together.
Yeah, and I want to speak to my single listeners right now. This is for you. This is very very important. Remember, we talking about the three H's on today with how to check the facts in the relationship. And what's so important and what can be beneficial to you today is if you're single, before you get into the relationships, you know how to do it. You know how to check the history, and then the other two H's, which we're going to talk about in the minute. You're going to know exactly how to go by doing it. You have the steps before you, even before the relationships start. You have the facts before you. You like that vehicle. You go to the car lot, and before I emotionally attach myself to this individual, I want to know the history and I want to know these other two H's. So for the single listeners, this is very, very important. Listen up, take notes, and I want you to implement this not only in the relationship when it comes time for dating, but even in friendships. And this can apply to every last one of us. Friendships. And for our entrepreneur listeners, if you're about to go into a JV, a joint venture with somebody, now you know you can do the same thing. You need to know the history. You got to know the history because before you get emotionally attached, before you put any money in it, you already have the thing. So it's easy. Think about this. Let me slow down. I'm getting excited. It's so easy. You get emotional. And once you get emotional, that's when you start making decisions out of your emotions. And that's what we want you to do. When you first get into that relationship, I want you to go in there with no strings attached.
Yes.
No emotions attached. I mean, I'm coming in, I'm checking the facts right up front. And are we going to do business? Are we going to hook up? Are we going to start dating? Are we going to get married?
Yes.
Are we going to do this business together?
We need to call it
or
quits?
do we need to call it quits right now?
Or do we need to just be friends?
Well, some people you don't even want to do that with.
True.
Yeah.
True,
So
true.
I mean, but you guys get the point.
Yeah.
You guys get the point. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, this is good. This is good. It is important to know the history of the people or person that you're in relationship with. And as you stated, this can work all across the board. Whether you're in a marital relationship, whether you're single, whether you're dating.
No.
If you're single, one thing you were saying when you were talking about singles, I wanted to say this is the best time for you to hear this video. This is the best time for you to get this information, for you to get the three H's while you're single. Woo, is setting it off for you. If you're already married, you're already in a relationship, it's not too late. You can still go back, sit down with your spouse and check these things and learn how to use them to your benefit.
Yeah, I love the car analogy. So one of the things I want to go back to, if you do purchase a car and you find out later on the car was in an accident, that information is still important.
Exactly.
Although you have the car with it, that information is important. And so now you can kind of maneuver around and you know how to go by life now, knowing the information.
Exactly.
It's good to get the history already. But if you don't have the history, if you decide to have this conversation right now after this podcast and get the history, it's still beneficial because now you can learn where am I benefiting in this relationship and where am I bringing baggage in this relationship.
Absolutely.
And if both of us, because we did this. We did this when we went into our marriage. We both, honestly, we went into our marriage with baggage and benefits. And when we begin to understand, again, after 10 years, when we really begin to understand and complement the baggage and benefits, our relationships shift to a whole nother level. Whole nother level.
Absolutely. It changes the game. That's definitely knowing the history. The history helps you to understand the beliefs, the baggage, and the benefits. And knowing that can set your relationship on a trajectory that you never thought was possible,
Right.
because it helps you learn how to move forward. When you were talking about the car phase, I may have already purchased this car and I may have found out that it was in an accident, but now it helps me to understand how to drive this car better. Now it helps me to understand how I need to maintain the car. So that's good. That's good. I think this is awesome. History.
Awesome. Awesome. So the first thing is history. The next thing is health. Help us with it.
Okay, when we're talking about health, we're talking about the health of the person and not just their physical health. We're talking about their mental health, their mental stability, their mindset, their outlook on life, their outlook on family, their desires, their hopes, the things that make them who they are. Because when you hear health, you may think we're talking about, if they family history of high blood pressure. That's good to know too.
That's
That
important.
yeah,
But
yeah,
that's
that's
not what
good.
we're talking about.
That's good to know too, but that's not what we're
We're talking
talking
about
about.
mental health.
Exactly,
Mental
because
health.
your mental health shapes you
Right.
as an individual. Your mindset shapes what you do, how you respond to things. Your desires shape what you go after, what you put your time into, what you focus on. Your outlook tells me how you will see relationship and family. When you talked earlier, you talked about someone being raised in a single family household or someone being raised in a dual family household. Our outlooks are different when we go into relationships. Our outlook, we can say whatever we want to say, but the outlooks are different. Because as a woman, you could have been raised by a single mother and you saw mom being boss, being driver, being everything. And now you go into relationships. And if you are in a marriage,
Now
but
you
you
go into
having
the
that
relationship
boss,
like a boss.
yeah,
Right?
you having that boss mentality in a relationship with a real man, that's not going to work because he's the leader of the household, but you saw mom as the leader of the household. Vice versa. You could have been in a two-parent household. And if you were a man and you didn't see dad leading, or you did see dad leading, you will respond out of the experience of that.
Right.
So that's what we're talking about.
And even on maybe your dad, he was very aggressive. You love your parents, but in the relationship, you've seen the way your father treated your mother, and you're like, man, you know what? Man, ain't no man is treating me like this.
Exactly.
If I get married, he's not treating me like this.
Exactly.
And so what happened is you go into your relationship because of that mindset. What happens, you go into this relationship, and when you go into this relationship, you go into this relationship with this sword. It's like, you know what? I'm not letting this happen to me. It causes unnecessary aggression, and you go into this relationship very aggressive, and what it does, it kills the relationship.
And you're supposed to be on a team. You're supposed to be working together. You're supposed to be on the same team, yet you are opponents to each other because you're trying to protect yourself. And if they are of the same mindset, they're trying to protect themselves, or maybe they're trying to be a team player and you always putting up your defense against them. We're supposed to be playing together, but you go in and you don't even realize it because this has been embedded in the way you think because of what you've seen in your life. This is embedded in how you think, how you feel. And the other person doesn't understand your mindset. They don't understand your thinking. They don't understand why this is a problem for the two of you, for your relationship. But it's important if they are checking the facts, they're fact checking the relationship, and I see, okay, your mom was strong. She was boss. She was single mom. She led the house. She owned the business. She did this. She did that. This may be something that we need to look at, or on the flip side, maybe your dad was more mild mannered and more reserved and your mom was the boss. So you don't want to, in order for us to get to the next H, we have to check this H in a big way.
Yeah, because even with that being said, mom probably was the boss. She was the boss lady of the whole house. She bossed dad and she bossed you. So now you have in your mind like, I love mom because you're gonna love your parents, but then your wife suffer, people on your job suffer, people in your family suffer, your friends suffer, everybody suffer because you have this aggression about you. This again, this unnecessary aggression.
Yeah.
It's like you don't even have to be there. You don't have to walk every time you go into a room. You want everybody to know how big and bad you are. Because the thing about it, and we're talking about emotional health, and what tend to happen, and what I've learned, the person that has that aggressive characteristic, one-on-one, you see the heart. But man, when it's a crowd, oh man, they show how tough they are. And then they start saying what they doing, they killing relationships. They killing
Mm-hmm.
things. They killing things because they shooting everybody, and you got all this friendly fire going on, shooting your kids, all this. And I'm talking spiritually. I'm talking mentally, friendly fire. I'm not talking you pulling out a gun and shooting somebody. I'm talking shooting with your mouth.
Yeah.
Because this, I think this the
Oh yeah,
biggest, this the
deadly
worst bullet.
weapon.
This the worst bullet you ever have right here
Mm-hmm.
is your mouth. I mean, but that's the thing. So we have to really be careful because here's the thing: what's in our mind, it comes out the mouth. What's in your mind? The way you think, it comes out your mouth, and it comes out your mouth and come out your mouth wrong. And again, because you're hurting, because of your mental health, because of the wounds you have, whether you're being open with your wounds or whether you've been holding it internally, you have these wounds. Nobody know you have these wounds, but everybody's been affected by it. Now you bring this into the relationship, and for our Christians, you have a godly relationship. I want to have a kingdom marriage. I want to have a godly
Mm-hmm.
marriage, but it can't be kingdom or godly because you don't even have the
Yeah.
godly
Because
God
self keep
because
rising up.
right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's
Self.
rising against just your mindset and it's
Exactly.
affecting your health. So health check. First thing is check your history. Second thing is check your health. The third thing is what?
Harmony.
Harmony. I love this. Harmony, living in harmony. I mean, just the thought of that sound, just
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
thought
Yeah.
of it, harmony. I mean, just think about this. When you say harmony, I mean, you thinking of peace. I mean, if you just close your eyes
Yes.
and
Yes.
picture yourself being in a place of harmony, I mean, you in a place. I mean, I can see right now in my eyes. I can see the water. I can see the water falling. I mean, I'm talking this beautiful day. I mean, it's about 65 degrees. The weather is perfect. I mean, you got the birds. I mean, the birds just singing. I mean, they singing in the choir, and you just watching them. I'm saying
Okay.
this is
Okay.
harmony to me.
That's what you
I mean,
see.
it's like this is harmony. Harmony is like, I mean, even in your body. In your body, you have a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Your heartbeat
Everything
and
works into
everything is
sync.
in rhythm.
Uh-huh.
Everything is in rhythm. If you're listening to music, I mean, the beat is in rhythm. I remember we just watched the movie Get On Up by James Brown. I mean, it was so crazy how this man did music and he just put everything
Everything worked
into
together. Uh-huh.
rhythm. I mean, the drummer, the saxophone, everybody was in rhythm. And that's a great thing in relationship when we can be in rhythm. When we get that history together, get that help together, not even getting the help together, but understanding where
Understanding. Yeah.
maybe because I have issues with me. Still listen to me, TMC family. I still have issues.
Hmm. We
She
all
still
do.
have issues.
Yes.
But what's so awesome about it is we did the history talk, and now she have issues, but now I understand her issues. So if I understand her issues, let me make it practical. If she have a cut on her arm, and I know she have a cut, I can be the one to put the band-aid on it.
Hmm.
I can be the one to help her. And then also, if her arm is hurting, I know not to grab the arm too hard. I know that okay, this is tender. It's because I know the history of the health and the history.
But here's what I was thinking.
Go for it.
So we're talking about harmony, right? And you gave us your picture. You saw the birds chirping, the whole Snow White scene. But I'm thinking about music because I love music. Music is rhythm. It's amazing what musicians can do with music, and it creates this feeling. So when I'm thinking about your relationship and having harmony, I'm thinking about this is pleasing. This is something that just groove with it. And so as you were talking, I was thinking, when you have discussed and understood the history of the person you are in relationship with,
Mhm.
when you've delved into and have a clear picture of the health of that person and their mental stability, their outlook, their understanding, their desire, when issues arrive, because we both said that we still have issues, when my issues rise up, when your issues rise up, we can get back in harmony quicker. We get
Mm.
back in rhythm quicker
Wow.
because you said, "Oh, wait a minute, this is a problem for her." So let us shift right here, and now we're back in harmony. Oh, this is a part of his health issue, so let us shift right here
Wow.
and get this back in rhythm.
Wow.
So that's what I was thinking about. Once you, if you have all of these things and you get into a rhythm, a beat of how you live life together, and your relationship is, will we fit together? We fit together. We're making music together. We're in rhythm together. When we find those instances where we get off rhythm, it's easier for us to get back on rhythm sooner than we would later.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's good.
So when we talk about harmony, we're talking about fitting together. We're talking about working together. We're talking about meshing together, gelling together. We're talking about being in rhythm with the person that you're in relationship with. And this is whomever they may be. We've said that over and over, and you will hear that many, many times on TMC because we believe that these relationship tips, these three H's can work across the
Everything.
board for
Yeah.
everything. And when you are in harmony, it's an arrangement, a pleasing, peaceful arrangement that's working together. It's how we fit to make the music of life together as a couple, as a parent to child, or a parent, a child to parent, whatever our relationship was, as friends, as a coworker, as a business partner, is how we are gelling together and fitting together to take our relationship to the next level. Are we compatible? Are we compatible? It's our compatibility. We know that with many things that we purchase in this world, if I have an iPhone, I can't use an Android charger for my iPhone because they're not compatible.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think that could be an issue, and we don't realize that in relationship because we haven't checked the history. You talked about in the very beginning being emotionally invested too soon. So in relationship, if you get emotionally invested too soon and you don't know the history, you haven't delved into understanding the history of that person, their upbringing, their family, their values, their experiences, and all these things. You haven't checked the health. You haven't done the health check, their mindset, their outlook, their values, their understanding. You have not gone into all that. Then that harmony,
Crash resistance.
you exactly. And that's the part where you get to, that's the part of the relationship where you get to that we ain't working, or this ain't what I thought
A
it was
lot of
going to be.
friction.
Because why? You didn't, because did not have this information, the history, the health, you didn't realize that you really weren't compatible. You were riding around on an emotional whirlwind, but you didn't realize that you really weren't compatible.
Yeah.
You didn't realize that you really could not fit together.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, even you said business partners, even as a business partner, we can get so excited about how much money we're going to make that we don't realize that we don't have the same values.
Yeah.
So this person is all about making money and I'm about changing lives.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
When it comes
Huge.
to spouses and significant others, I want to have children. I want to build family wealth and legacy. And this person is about something completely different. Maybe they want to be a celebrity, a star, whatever it is. The ideas are different. Their outlook and their desires. If someone's outlook and desires are completely different than yours, then you're not compatible with them. And there's always going to be problems because you're not going to be able to operate in harmony because we have two different visions of what the outcome should be. We have two different foundations or two different ideas of where we're going. So that there's not going to be any compatibility.
Yeah.
We won't be able to fit because we're too different or we're not on the same page.
And that's very important. I mean, because you have people that want to be famous, you have people that impress, and people that make impact.
Mhm.
And those things are very important when you're talking about a relationship of two becoming one, or a relationship in general when two becoming one in business. I mean, in the business, I mean, if you're creating a company together, I mean, you in a sense, you partnering with this
Yes, yes.
individual, and you guys, I mean, of course, you're gonna difference is always great, but those hardcore values
Mhm.
and that core value, it
Yeah.
has to
They have to
coexist with it.
they have to exist in harmony. So
Yeah.
you maybe you're different. Like we talked about earlier, you're a jumper and I'm the reserve person that's like tie a string to a rock.
Yeah.
So we're different in many instances, but our core values, the core of who you are, the core of who I am, those things are in harmony with
Yeah.
each other. They may not be exactly the same because we are different, but they are in harmony with each other. You want to make a difference, I want to make a difference. Or you want to help people, I love helping people. You want to see the core of us, it works in harmony. So therefore, the core of our, even with us, when it comes to our relationship, we want to be beneficial to the family. We both love family. We pour into family. We both love
For the families.
Yeah, exactly. So we work together in a harmony. Our arrangement is pleasing to the both of us. So because the core of us, operates in harmony, then everything else, the differences, because some people can get this misconstrued saying, oh, they said we have to be in harmony, so we need to be alike. We are different.
Totally different.
You exactly. You and I
Totally
are
different.
different,
Yeah,
but the core of who we are
it's the same.
works in
Yeah.
harmony together.
Yeah, yeah. But I want to speak to that relationship
Mm,
because right now, I mean, that's some
yeah,
relationship. I mean, whether it's business, whether it's marriage, whether it's a dating relationship, whether it's with a friend, what I want you to do, you may be at the end of the ropes, ready to give up, ready to throw in the towel, ready to say, you know what, this ain't working. We ain't syncing together. We're not gelling together. You know, this is over. And you want to end that relationship. What I want you to do, I just want you to take a deep
that's
breath.
good.
Take a deep breath where you are. Take a deep breath. Understand your situation is real. And I want you to understand this too. Their situation is real.
Mhm.
And you guys are having conflict right now because you guys are seeing things differently.
Differently.
But respect the way each other see the situation, first of all. But what I want you to really do, because number three is harmony. But what I want you to do is just consider, maybe you haven't done this. I want you to go back and I want you to look at the history.
Mm-hmm.
After you look at the history, I want you to look at how the history affect the health of
Mm-hmm.
you and of the person. I'm
Yeah.
talking sitting down like you having a
Yeah.
meeting and really dissect this thing like, man, you know what? Man, my history, man, my mom used to fight my dad.
Yeah.
That's why this.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so aggressive with men. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and really
Yeah.
understand that history and consider, consider, go through these steps. History, health, I believe,
Creating.
I
Mm-hmm.
believe that it will shift the harmony
Exactly.
in
We
your
were
relationship. So I
exactly.
encourage you, if your relationship is not in harmony, there's resistance right now, try these first two steps. And I
Oh yeah.
believe the TMC family, I believe you do that in the community. I believe it's going to bring rhythm and bring harmony to
Oh
your
yeah.
relationship. Yeah,
That's a helpful tip. Go back. And I think you said something about having a meeting. And I think it's important for us to share with the TMC
yeah,
listeners. We do this all the
all
time
the
in
time.
our relationship. And people may be like, oh, that's too much. No, we
It's
literally,
perfect.
just like we would
It's a
have a
blessing.
just like we would have a leadership meeting at church, just like we would have a business meeting in business, we have meetings, marital meetings
Yeah,
with ourselves.
yeah.
We have marital meetings with the two of us.
Hold up. Now, we got to get it clear. I mean, when we go into these meetings, I mean, we don't have no
Oh yeah,
briefcase.
we're not going.
I mean, we're not going to the dining
No,
room
we're not
table
going
and,
with our
writing
okay.
notes. I'm sitting on one side, she's on the other side, and we looking at each other. It's nothing like that.
No,
I mean, we
not
have meetings.
we don't
Sometimes we're in the
have an
bedroom.
itemized
Sometimes,
agenda.
yeah, sometimes we're out in the backyard and we're having a conversation. We're
Yes.
meeting or something we're thinking about doing. That's the type of meeting. I don't want
Oh
anybody to get
yeah,
like,
no.
it's like, we having this executive meeting or whatever, or we going,
Ah,
or we going to Starbucks to have a meeting. I mean, it's nothing
no.
like that. I mean, but we do meet and we do have these conversations. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's good you explained that.
Yeah.
No, we are not, we don't have a timed schedule agenda. We do not, but we are discussing, we
Yeah.
are discussing many things in life that helps us. And we, even till this day, it just happened this morning when we were talking in the restroom while we were getting ready. Even to this day, we are still uncovering history.
Yes.
We are
It's
still
crazy.
uncovering history. We're still
And
under
health. And
exactly. We are
health,
still
man.
uncovering
Um,
where what is a part of me.
mm,
Why do I think this way? Why do I
um,
respond this way? And because we do that, we're open to it from each other.
um,
Just last night and this morning, we were sitting. Last night we were sitting on the bed talking, or the night before sitting on the bed talking, and this morning we're in the restroom brushing our teeth and talking. And both of us, I one thing was uncovered for me why I am the one that's tying the rock to the, keep us stabilized. And the other thing was uncovered for why you
yeah,
think the
that's
way you
crazy,
think,
right?
why your
Yeah, yeah,
mind
yeah.
operates the way it does.
Um,
And we've been married for almost
23 years,
23
and
years.
that just uncovered this morning.
Exactly.
That's
And
insane. Yeah.
Friday or whatever day
Yeah.
it was. So
Yeah.
two
Yeah.
things
It's crazy.
uncovered about two parts of our history, which
And
shaped our
health,
health,
yeah.
just revealed this week,
Today.
adding to
Today.
our harmony and our benefits.
That is amazing.
That's good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
be don't what they say, don't be discouraged, don't be dismayed. Wherever you are in your relationship, and this is what we want to do with TMC.
Yeah.
Let me disclaimer. We know sometimes some relationships are not good, they not working, they have to end. Understood. Another podcast for another day. But at TMC, what we want to do is encourage both parties that are in relationship or those that desire to be in a relationship, whatever kind of relationship, we want to talk to you about wherever you are, going from where you are to where the two of you desire to be, living out the purpose, because God put each and every one of us are together for a purpose. And once we made that covenant commitment, now we live out a purpose together. So we want to talk to those, even if you're dating, if you're thinking about being in covenant with this person, which means marrying them, and you're going to live out the rest of your life with them, which means you're going to be living on purpose with them. You want to get these 3 H's down. We want to thank you for joining us today on TMC. If you like this video, go ahead and subscribe and click the like button so you will be notified when we upload a video every week. And if you're listening on iTunes, rate the podcast and leave a review. So we want to invite you to head on over to our leadership podcast, Lead to Greatness, where my husband is interviewing entrepreneurs and great leaders every week.
So we want to thank you for joining us today on TMC. Looking forward to hanging out with you again on next week as we continue to help you take your relationship
from surviving to thriving. Bye. See you next week.